Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiana. We are in the car right now because we are headed to UBC. I am taking you with me for a finals vlog. If you saw my last midterm vlog, you know that I think it is so important to maintain your balance and happiness when you are studying. Just because you have exams doesn't mean your life stops, doesn't mean you put the rest of your responsibilities on hold. I'm a firm believer that self-care is just as important as sitting down and studying the material you need to for your exam. So that is exactly what this vlog is going to be about. Unlike last vlog, I'm actually only studying for one final, so I'm very excited. And once that final is done, that class is over and I'll only have one more for the rest of the semester. So it's going to be a lot more of a chill vlog. I'm going to show you a little bit more of my life and what I actually mean when I say I'm maintaining the rest of the responsibilities in my life. So without further ado, let's head to school because I'm going to be late. It would not be me if I wasn't going to be late. Okay, so we're taking a little break in between my class. We do this like every class basically because we have 2 hours and then we get like 10 minutes in between each of the hours. For my upcoming final, the way my prof has set up this course, each exam is non-cumulative. So there's only 4 lectures of content on this exam, but I would argue it's the hardest stuff because we're talking about wine regions and the different regulation systems of how wine is like produced and made and bottled sort of in each of the regions. Big part of it also is wine labels, which can be difficult because for 2 of the regions, the bottles are like labeled in their own languages, which is really difficult, right? So trying to remember all that stuff because even though it's open book, the more you remember, the easier it is to do well in the exam. The regions we're covering, we've already done France, we did that last week. Then we did the USA, mostly the West Coast. We just focused on California for like most of that lecture. And we also covered a little bit of Oregon and Washington, which is super cool because that's obviously super close to Vancouver where I live. And then right now we are doing Germany, which I'm actually really excited about because I'm actually a quarter German. And I don't really have like a huge connection to my German culture other than like how we celebrate Christmas. But you know, I grew up in Vancouver with my dad's side of the family who's Indian. So I grew up mostly feeling Indian my whole life, but very excited about that, learning a little bit about German wine. And my mom's German, so I cannot wait to tell her like everything I've learned. And then the last wine region we are learning about, I think, is going to be Canada, which makes sense, right? Because we obviously have a pretty decent wine industry in the Okanagan. I'm excited to learn more about that. I think there's also some wineries in Langley, which is like close enough to the Lower Mainland that I could go and visit and like I wouldn't have to like stay overnight or anything. So really excited about that. I think that's gonna be Thursday's class. I brought a lunch today. I don't typically bring a lunch, but honestly, I think because in 4th year, which was my last year of university, I just ate too much here. Like I literally have tried not every single food place on campus, but majority of them. And it's just not like, I don't want to spend that much money because everything's super expensive. I don't really want to eat the food. And on top of that, I don't want to walk around for hours trying to find something I want, trying to find a seat, making it to my class on time. It's just too situational. So I brought a sandwich and then I've got tons of work to do, which I'm going to bring you along with me. I'm hoping we're going to get into studying today, but we might not. I might just have to do some housekeeping before I can actually focus on studying. So that was also what I was like talking about a little bit in the intro, when I think it's important that you don't let the rest of your responsibilities go just because you have an exam. Then it's just so much harder to catch up after and you start this perpetual cycle of just being behind. So we're not doing that, and I'm going to show you how to stay on top of everything, prepared, and you can still do well on your exams. If you guys saw my last midterm vlog, I was studying for 2 exams that were within 24 hours of each other, and I only studied for like I think an hour on a Saturday and a Sunday, excluding like any times I studied in the prior 2 weeks before the exams, which was like maybe 2 hours like each for each class. I got an 82 on the wine science exam and I got an 81 on the psych exam, and considering I didn't study that much, like that's pretty good. But it really goes to show that like you don't need to kill yourself and grind. You pay attention in class, take notes, make connections, and then you do quality studying and you still get high grades. life now. I decided to come somewhere else after my class finished. I typically do like to get up, move around, and go to a new location after class just because I hate sedentary behavior, and I just feel like getting up, walking around makes me feel better, and I actually feel like I have way more energy now than just sitting for the past 2 hours in lecture. Also, pro tip, don't fill your water bottle at the fountains. I feel like the water is never cold. I go to Starbucks and I get them to fill it with ice, and it's literally so good. There's just something about Starbucks ice water, and if you get it in your own bottle, you don't have to pay the cup fee, which I don't even know why they still charge a cup fee, because Vancouver removed that by law, and it's not going to sustainability. I feel like UBC is definitely just pocketing cash, but that's another chat for another time. I think I should go over my to-do list right now just to map out what we have to do today. So these are the things I need to finish before I can start studying, and just realistically looking at this list, it's probably not gonna happen today, but that's okay, because a big part of studying, for me at least, is just getting things done so I actually can study. Like I said, and I keep repeating myself, it's so important to make sure you're covering all your bases and not letting things pile up, because you're just going to be more stressed for a longer period of time. So the things I have to do today, I have to find a paper to review for my psych class. So that's the class that's all summer, and we're definitely going to do that, but I want to actually be engaged and take some time to do that, because I have to write a paper on this, right? And it's worth 15% of my grade, and I feel like that's going to boost my grade a lot. So we'll do that. Then I want to edit my YouTube video, which is great because I've already started editing this video, and so I feel like it'll just be more getting that ball rolling. So I feel like that's pretty easy. I have a reel I need to finish editing for tomorrow, and the annoying thing about this is it's pretty much I'd say 80% done. I just have to rearrange the clips and match it to the sound and add some text and do my caption and all that. So it's 80% done. It's just I'm procrastinating it, and I did it in a way I don't normally do it, so that's annoying. And then I have report cards to write. So when I'm not creating content, I actually have a day job, and so I'm a lifeguard and swimming instructor, and so I'm teaching swimming lessons right now. I have some report cards to write. I'm gonna do half of them now and then do the other half later tonight or tomorrow morning, but I have to get those done because I work tomorrow at 3:30, so literally 24 hours from now I'll be handing out these report cards. I actually like doing it. I love leaving the kids a little message, and it's just a cute little bundle of positivity for the kids, whether they pass or fail the lessons. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tackle this to-do list.
It's hard when you keep close. Rewind with my eyes closed. I need a breather. Get lost in the B-roll. Let all the window to learn how the world goes. We didn't know how to move on. If we could run it, if we could run it back, and do you wonder if we could run it back?
Happy first day of summer. I was actually not expecting to be turning on the camera today. I just found out that I don't actually have any psychology classes until July 5th. I had a midterm on Monday, and we actually are just taking a 2-week break in between the summer semesters. I was so excited to find that out because it gives me more time to prepare for my final in wine science, which we are starting today. I'm so sorry that I didn't get to any studying last night. I did want to be really honest about where I'm at, and I really wanted to talk about getting on top of things, and that's just personally my system and how I go about studying for a final. I need the rest of my life to kind of be taken care of before I can start something new. I'm sitting at my desk right now, and we're actually going to do a quiz for my wine science class, and these quizzes are meant to prepare us for each exam. This quiz is on all the wine regions and regulations of France, the US, Germany, and I believe there will be some content on Canada, and it's due tonight. And so typically I would do it after work, but because my classes are canceled and I don't work till 3:30, I have some time to do it now, so that is exactly what we are going to be doing.
Things I didn't know, I had to get out down the road, inside of the same old, caught in circles.
Today I'm actually actually going to bring you to my wine science lab. It's the last one. Normally I would save this for my wine science vlog that's coming up, but I just thought this would be such a fun opportunity to bring you with me. My apologies about the lighting, but I just had to stop, do a little reassessment, and like tell you guys what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to bring you to my last wine science lab, and then I'm really excited because I think we're trying 3 different wines. I think we're trying a still white, a still red, and then maybe like a sweet late harvest wine. So very excited about that. And then we'll taste the wines, and then we're going to go over how I'm going to study for the final. I finally got everything I need to do out of the way to get studying for this final. I'm sorry you had to wait till like the 3rd day of this vlog to actually get to it. Hopefully you love this realistic take, and you can always let me know in the comments if this is not your vibe.
Closed, might need a breather. Got lost in the B-roll. We let all the wind blow to learn how the world goes. And we didn't know how to move.
I wanted to talk about my grades because I just finished my last class, my last lab for my wine science course, and then my final is going to be on Monday, so it's Thursday. That's like 3.5 days. I feel like I have enough time to prepare. I also just wanted to like break down my midterm marks, what I'm currently getting in the course, etc., and how I studied for each midterm, and that's gonna like explain how I'm studying for the final. So I'm getting 86.76% in this course. I don't know what the class average is currently at. I imagine that's higher than the class average. It is an easy course, but I'm also a nutrition student, so I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage because I know how to study for nutrition exams. Then with the first midterm, I did a whole vlog on this, and I did a breakdown of like how I'm studying, all the topics I'm studying specifically. And for that midterm, I got a 47.5 out of 58, and that works itself out to like an 81.89%, so like an 82%. So for the first exam, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I have an entire vlog on how I studied for this exam as well as an exam for another course. I basically took the learning objectives and made flashcards, and that helped me like take all the material from all the lectures on that testable exam and like make questions and then test myself. Then for the second exam, I actually did better on this exam, which is kind of surprising to me because I felt less prepared going into it. And keep in mind, these exams are open book, so even as I was writing it, I didn't feel super confident, but I somehow came out with a higher grade. So I got a 49.5 out of 55. That breaks down to like an even 90%. What I did for this exam is I did the practice questions. So he does practice questions for the midterms and the final, and I did only the practice questions. I may have briefly gone over a couple other things, but I think I studied a max of maybe 2 days and like 30 minutes to an hour max each day. So not a lot of time, but I ended up doing well. Again, like I said, these are open book exams. I'm also pretty confident with this learning style. I'm walking into the final at an 86.76, which is like 87%, which I pretty much want to stay right around. Both midterms are worth 25% each. The final is worth, I believe, 33%, and 5 of that percent is based on the tasting exam, which I'm honestly more worried about than the final because I feel like it's going to be hard to taste things without like talking to my peers. We're just going to go into it with a good mindset, and hopefully that'll work. That usually gets me through. In saying that, for the final, I've decided that I'm going to start studying by doing the final exam practice questions. I feel like this will be a good way to figure out like where I'm weakest in the material, and then I'll go through the questions. I'll use my notes to go through the questions. I'll do the ones I think I know, and then I will mark them, and then if there's any time remaining before the exam, I will then go through the areas I'm weakest and go through the learning objectives, make sure I really understand. He also releases supplementary notes on top of the lectures. Some of the material isn't relevant. You kind of have to sift through it yourself, but if need be, I can go through those. And yeah, I'm feeling honestly excited. I feel pretty good about my grade. I'm hoping to maintain it after this final. That would be so nice to get this nice grade in the summer course, and especially because it was only 6 weeks. But we're gonna sit down and study right now just to like get the ball rolling. I'm thinking I don't want to head home too late. It's already 4:15, and I do want to avoid that rush hour traffic at 5, so hopefully gonna leave around 4:40. Let's see what we can do.
And to think
had for you, I would've put it all on hold. Now I'm playing in the sand till it turned to gold. Midas hands, but we all grow old. Can't have my soul, let my heart turn stone. Guess I gotta say it twice, it ain't my fault. Every little thing got a price, that's what I thought. That's what they taught. Yeah, I'ma take my chance till I drop. You know this ain't the time for the two of us. Ooh, I ain't got space to be thinking about growing older, done my thinking, me and you. Yeah, guess it's over. It was a rainbow, but was sinking, lost my hue.
So it's been a couple days since I've turned the camera on. It's been a crazy weekend, which honestly is a classic. I feel like my weekends are almost just as busy as my weekdays. But we're sitting down and studying because today is the last day before the final, and I always feel like I do most of my studying the day before anyways, so like a last-ditch effort, because I don't really study day of the exam. I just do like very minimal review. And given that this is an open book exam, I'm not going to be going super hard anyways, but I think it's important that we go over things. So as you guys saw a couple days ago, I started doing the practice final questions. I feel like that is the best way to study, but I need to brush up a little bit on the wine regions in general. I'm going to do France as much as I can because France is the biggest region, I guess country, because the regions are within France. I've got to do the US. I feel really not confident on the content from the US. I want to do Canada. I want to do Germany. I feel the most confident about majority of France and Germany. Canada, I feel like I will be able to figure out come exam day. So we're just going to sit down and we're going to get right to it.
I might come running back when our hearts get back on track. When the stars line up, that's that. I've been attached, just looking out. We move so fast, was moving south. My secret sauce, boo in and out. Miss how you gloss that pretty mouth.
Okay, so I've put in about an hour and a half's work just on studying France. I've really tried to get as much as I can done. There's two major wine regions in France, and then there's a lot of other minor ones. The two major regions are Bordeaux and Burgundy. I haven't even covered Burgundy yet, but I'm like mostly through Bordeaux. I've done Alsace, I've done the North Rhone, I've done Champagne, the Loire Valley, and so this is what I did. I made a web, and this is actually one of my favorite ways to study. I don't have a lot of studying techniques, but if I need to group similar information and there's like overlapping concepts, I tend to do a web. France in the middle, and then as you branch out, there's all the wine regions. So I've got Alsace, Champagne, North Rhone, got Loire Valley, and then the four regions in the Loire Valley: Pays-Nantais, Anjou, Samar, Touraine, Center. Then we've got Bordeaux over here. This is all Bordeaux, and there's more going to be divided up here for Bordeaux. And then we've got Burgundy, which I haven't even started, but honestly I'm not feeling confident with the American wine region, so we're gonna be moving on and doing that. But I just wanted to give like a little update of what I've been doing during this studying montage, so we're just gonna keep continuing with that. I'm gonna do America, hopefully gonna get to Canada, and then with Germany I'm probably gonna wing it because I don't know if I'm gonna have time to study. I just started talking and it wasn't recording, and I'm in a public place, so this is super awkward. I finished both parts of the exam, both the written and the tasting exam. Let's go over my final thoughts. So the written exam was harder than I was expecting. It wasn't a lot of questions, but because I only studied about 50% of the material, I spent a lot of time like looking through like my notes because it was open book, right? So I was looking through my notes for a lot of the time, and I honestly don't know how I did on that one. I think that's going to be the exam I do the worst on, which of course that is a classic because it's worth the most, but whatever. I tried my best with what I knew. I think what really tripped me up was the German stuff, as well as like a lot of the questions on the theory exam. He wanted us to compare different things from different regions. Like for instance, he's like, here's a French wine, like what Canadian wine is similar, or like region, or like a wine region, not an actual wine, but like wine region, grapes, terroir, like all those things. He wanted us to like not compare and contrast them, but find similar ones. And because those were multiple choice questions, I spent so much time searching up for the answers. Overall verdict with the theory exam, not super hot, but I tend to do better on the exams than I think. So like literally for the second midterm, I didn't even study and I got a 90. So I'm thinking like 80-ish%. And if I get an 80, I'm hoping that'll still allow me to get an A in the class. In terms of the tasting exam, I feel like I kind of screwed myself over a little bit because when we do our tasting labs, we taste each wine in 2 sips, and I started tasting the wines in 3, which I feel like wasn't the best way, because then all of your values for acidity, sweetness, bitterness, astringency, they're kind of skewed because you're not getting the same amount of wine every time. Not 100% sure. I was less sure on the white wine, which actually surprised me because I felt like all the white wines we had in the class were very distinct. I ended up going with Sauvignon Blanc. That's what I thought it was, because there was a peppery apple fresh aroma, and that's very characteristic of a Sauvignon Blanc. I thought maybe it could be a Bacchus, but I was pretty sure it definitely wasn't Champagne. I knew that. It wasn't Chardonnay, especially because the Chardonnay we had in class was oaked, and there was like no oak flavor in this white wine. And it wasn't a Gewürztraminer either, because I know that flavor quite distinctly, so I was pretty sure it was a Sauvignon Blanc, but not 100% sure. Then for the red wines, I honestly didn't really know. I just kind of went with my intuition. The options were Merlot, Zinfandel, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, and a Bordeaux blend. I was pretty confident that it wasn't a Pinot Noir or Cabernet Sauvignon. I ended up ruling out the Bordeaux blend because I just didn't think it had, like, I honestly couldn't remember what the Bordeaux blend tasted like, but it's quite similar to a Cab Sauv, so I eliminated that one, and I was pretty confident it was the Merlot. But again, like, my values for, like, you know, the acidity, sweetness, bitterness, astringency might have been off because I did the 3 sips, but I did end up picking Merlot. It might have been a Zinfandel, can't really remember. So that's where we're at with the finals. Tasting exam was only worth 5%. Hopefully that doesn't like make or break. I think I'll get like at least 2.5 out of 5. I think everybody's gonna do pretty well. They mark pretty easy in this class. Now I am just gonna enjoy the rest of my evening. I have 10 days off from school, so I've got like a fun little health vlog planned because that's what I'm focusing on coming up next. Just getting myself back on track with like my health and my personal life, so I can have the best summer going forward. And then in 2 weeks time, my brain and behavior class will pick up again. And right now I'm just gonna have a little blue chip cookie and enjoy the rest of my night. But I will see you guys in the next vlog. Don't forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss all the fun things I have planned this summer.
You know this ain't the time for the two of us. Ooh, I ain't got space to be thinking about you.